In this series of videos, you'll learn how our social, economic, and physical environments affect our health behaviors and our risk for obesity. This second video will explore how the social ecological model can be applied to understand the complex array of influences that affect our health behaviors and obesity risk. The social ecological model is a useful framework for understanding influences on our health behaviors and health outcomes. This model illustrates that individuals are often our primary focus and are most directly impacting their own health outcomes through their individual characteristics, behaviors, knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs. However, individuals are affected by their interpersonal and social environments, their communities, and their broader cultures and societies. They have families, roommates, peers, and other social networks, and they live in neighborhoods, cities, and states that have policies and laws, all of which affects the foods to which they are exposed, their opportunities for physical activity, their attitudes and perceptions about health behaviors, and many other factors that affect their eventual behaviors and lifestyle choices. These effects can be through direct impacts on the individual's physical environment and exposures, but also through psychological and social impacts on their health behaviors. Note that these influences can work both ways, in that the individual can also affect their interpersonal networks, their communities, and their societies through their own actions, or they can choose their contexts and environments. The social ecological model has been used to understand a wide variety of health behaviors, but we can specifically apply it to obesity prevention and treatment to understand the factors that influence an individual's weight-related behaviors and outcomes. Let's walk through some examples of influences at each level of the social ecological model that impacts our weight-related behaviors and weight outcomes. These are not all-inclusive lists, but they provide key examples that may resonate with you or be familiar to you. Some examples of individual-level influences are our socio-demographics, our eating behaviors and physical activity levels, our sedentary time and our sleep patterns, how much we know about nutrition and physical activity, our health literacy, and the self-efficacy we hold for our health behaviors. At the interpersonal level, some examples of influences on weight-related behaviors and weight outcomes include our family's routines surrounding eating, activity, and sleep, how much social support we have for health behaviors, what our peers and family members model in terms of health behaviors, social stressors that may affect our health behaviors, and social norms regarding healthy eating, activity, and weight. At the community level, some examples of influences on weight-related behaviors and weight outcomes include features of our community settings, the schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods wherein we spend our time, opportunities for healthy eating, exercise, and sedentary behaviors within our communities, and access to things like healthcare and support for health behaviors. At the societal level, some examples of influences on weight-related behaviors and weight outcomes include policies that affect our health behaviors, such as smoking bans, restaurant regulations, or soda taxes, regulation of food and health-related industries, and mandates on health and wellness benefits, such as paid medical or family leave. Now let's think through some specific examples of how different levels of influence interact to affect an individual's obesity risk. If a city has invested in high-quality bicycle infrastructure to encourage residents to ride their bikes instead of drive, an individual may see these great bike trails and become interested in riding their bike to work or for errands, which leads to a daily bike riding habit. However, if that particular individual lives in a high-crime neighborhood and experiences their bike being stolen, they will obviously no longer have the ability to ride their bike, which disrupts their positive habit that they developed. As illustrated by the last example, sometimes protective factors at one level can be outweighed by risk factors at another level. Unfortunately, sometimes positive influences at one level are just not enough to counteract the negative influences at other levels. As another example, let's say we have a new mother who has learned the benefits of breastfeeding and has a strong desire to breastfeed her new child. However, if her family discourages her from breastfeeding because they don't feel it is the best way to feed her baby, or it counters cultural norms around women's bodies, and if she doesn't have any friends or family members who breastfed, this may impact her desire and self-efficacy around breastfeeding. If she also grew up in a community where her culture stated that she should listen to what her family tells her and that she should be controlling over her child's feeding and sleep patterns, this may further augment her family's discouragement of her choice to breastfeed. If she also lives in a society where there is little structural support for breastfeeding, meaning she only gets a few weeks of unpaid parental leave after her baby is born, and when she does go back to work, she does not have a private space to pump her breast milk or protected time to take breaks from work to pump, this will further limit her ability to successfully breastfeed her baby. Let's review some key takeaways related to our application of the Social Ecological Model to understand influences on our weight-related behaviors and weight outcomes. The Social Ecological Model is an important framework for understanding the factors that influence our health behaviors. When we apply this model to obesity, we see that our weight-related behaviors and eventual weight status is not only a matter of personal responsibility. There are many broader social, structural, and environmental factors that are powerful influences on our behaviors. And these are important considerations when we are identifying points of intervention to improve health behaviors and weight outcomes. That's all for this video. Thank you for learning with me.